Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Captain, Community Information Director for Volusia County Government, and this is the 5:15 p.m. briefing for Saturday, August 1st for Hurricane Isaias. With us today is County Manager George Recktenwald, Emergency Management Director Jim Judge, Beach Safety Director Ray Manchester, and joining us virtually is Sheriff Mike Chitwood. With that, we'll move right to it. We'll move to Sheriff Chitwood, who's joining us remotely. Sheriff, take it away.
Kevin, thank you. And good afternoon to all of Volusia County. From the sheriff's perspective, I can let you know that while I won't be on the field leading the forces, we are in very capable hands. We have extra deputies on patrol. We have extra folks inside of dispatch. We are coordinating closely with our county manager, George Recktenwald, and with our emergency management director, Jim Judge. From a personal standpoint, I will tell you, if you haven't got out yet to get supplies, if you're thinking this is going to be a non-event, that's the worst thing that you can do. Complacency is deadly. So I would encourage everybody that after you listen to all the information you're going to be presented, to get out, get a full tank of gas, go get the essentials that you'll need. Assume you're going to have to hunker down for 4 days. Follow the weather closely. You know, this thing is going to hit at nighttime, and I'm sure Jim Judge can tell us if there's going to be any type of possibility for tornadoes, especially on the East Coast part of the county. So again, don't be complacent. If it's a non-event, great, but use this as an opportunity to stock up on supplies. And we have a little bit of a window here. You have tonight. You're going to probably have a half a day tomorrow to get those things done. So we're ready, and we're looking forward to working with all the other entities in Volusia County to make sure everybody gets through this safely.
Thank you, Sheriff. We'll move to County Manager George Recktenwald.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sheriff Chitwood. Those are very wise words. And I just want to say, as this hurricane approaches the eastern coast of Florida, you really should be, right now, making those final preparations. We have good weather out there. Take advantage of it and finish preparing for this storm. And people need to pay attention. This is going to be a storm that's going to be very, very close to us. I know we've had larger, more menacing storms in recent history, but they were farther out to sea. And I think that's something that people need to pay attention to, is that this storm could be literally right on our coast. As a little bit of a guide, most people may not realize this county, for the most part, has only ever really experienced hurricane force winds in the low 90-mile-an-hour range. So we've only really had a Category 1 hurricane. Even though we've had some monsters come close to us, what's actually ever touched us. This is a smaller storm. However, it's going to be much closer and may actually be right upon us on the coast. So in just a minute, I'll have Jim Judge come up and give more details on the storm and what you can expect here in the county. I do want to let everybody know that county forces have been very busy, and we're prepared for this. Public Works has checked the areas where we see routine flooding to confirm the ditches and culverts and storm drains are clear. They've lowered retention ponds to compensate for additional water. Our beach and coastal teams have been securing all of their assets, from trash receptacles to toll booths to lifeguard stands. Road and bridge tree crews have all their equipment in place to quickly clear the roads. And they will also be embedding, as we have in the past, with Florida Power Light and Duke crews to address power outages so we can get the power on as soon as possible. Our emergency management team continues to participate in meetings and conference calls multiple times a day with city and state officials. So I'd like also, again, to remind everyone, now you should be making your plan and you should be taking action. According to the current forecast, We're just about 24 hours away from the onset of tropical storm force winds. So again, I need everyone to pay attention and use some common sense. Depending on the track, the barrier islands could see Category 1 hurricane force winds of 75 miles an hour. So with that in mind, we are going to issue a voluntary evacuation order effective 8 a.m. tomorrow, Sunday, August 2nd, for the barrier island and then people living in mobile homes near the coast. This really is meant for people who are not comfortable riding out the storm where you are. And now, like I say, is the time. So you need to be calling Uncle Fred or your friends or whomever live farther inland and visit those folks, or possibly book a hotel if you're able to. Because we're really encouraging that with the current pandemic situation to shelter in place with family or friends. Now, we realize not everyone will have that opportunity, so we will open, and Jim will go over that, some public shelters for those who cannot remain in their current situation and really have no other place to go. With that, I'm going to invite up Jim Judge to provide an update on the storm and give a little bit more detail on what we're doing with sheltering. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Recktenwald. Again, Jim Judge, Volusia County Emergency Management. So, just a little bit of an update on the hurricane. It is moving up the coast right now. It had moved at approximately 12 miles an hour earlier, but now it's down to about 8 miles an hour. And literally, it has wobbled a little bit more to the west towards the coast, and really only just a little over 10 miles offshore. There is some fluctuation, and has been and will be as we monitor this storm. It at times falls down below hurricane force winds, and then a short time later it's back up in those 74, 75 mile an hour wind range. So for coastal Volusia County, we are under a hurricane warning. We all are under a storm surge watch. And also we have an interior Volusia County tropical storm watch. So winds, we can expect really low-end hurricane force winds right along the coast, and that's anticipated to occur literally Sunday night around 11 p.m., and that'll last till about 7 a.m. in the morning. Once the system passes north of Volusia County, we expect the conditions to improve greatly, because it's not like one of the typical very large hurricanes that we have to wait quite a while once the center passes to the north for all that southern system to move with it. So to the south of it, it's not that active. Also, the onset of sustained tropical storm force winds will occur approximately 3 o'clock tomorrow, always give and take an hour depending on forward speed, but around 3 p.m. tropical storm force sustained winds will come into the Oak Hill area and then of course move to the north. Storm surge, still approximately 1 to 3 feet in storm surge, so it's not a real big storm surge event. And again, this is more of a wind event. We've had wind events, we've had water events, and with Hurricane Matthew, it was both a wind and a water event. So this is particularly a wind event for us. There is an area around Ponce Inlet, maybe a little bit to the south of the inlet, a little bit to the north, that could experience a 3-foot storm surge. Rainfall, still approximately 2 to 4 inches along the coast and 1 to 2 inches inland. So with that, obviously we've got some pretty gusty, sustained winds and also some large gusts that will come in to 75, 80 miles an hour as they move through. So it's a good opportunity right now. Take down the wind chimes, bring down the plants, anything that could be an object that could fly around. You want to secure those items. Look after your neighbors. If you have elderly neighbors that may need a little bit of assistance, a good opportunity to provide some assistance for them. But again, if you secure all those items, you're going to be in better shape so you don't end up with something going through a window. Because again, we always say you want to, hide from the wind. So if you have a good secure home, as Mr. Recktenwald stated, that's a good place to stay. If you have the opportunity to put up some plywood, that's even better. And certainly, it's a long way to the end of hurricane season. So you may want to even consider purchasing some of those manufactured storm shutters for your home. And that even makes you even that much more secure. And of course, right now, it's so important to continue to monitoring this system because it has wobbled, it will wobble again, and then again, the track and intensity can certainly change as we get into the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. We will have an additional National Weather Service briefing this evening at 5:45, and then they continue to update us. As Mr. Recktenwald mentioned, it's a good time to go visit your uncle in Mount Dora. Certainly, hotel rooms are available on the west side of the county, staying with family and friends. However, if you're in an RV, a recreational vehicle, an older mobile home, or you're in an area along the coast that you feel may not be the best to be, we do have public shelters that will open at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. 2 of those shelters are going to be special needs shelters. One is Galaxy Middle, and the other one is Freedom Elementary, both in DeLand. They're on the west side. That's where we want them because of the wind potential on the east side. But again, if you go to a special needs shelter, those are wonderful because if you have an oxygen concentrator and you're concerned about an electrical appliance and you're able to plug that oxygen concentrator in, and both of those schools are generator backup. So that's important to know. So if you're coming to a shelter again tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, Freedom Elementary, Galaxy Middle, and DAYTONA, but also the Volusia County Fairgrounds is our pet-friendly shelter. So that's primarily pet-friendly, and also for individuals who need to shelter who do not have a valid ID, because we do check IDs as individuals come into a public shelter. We have arrangements for them also at the fairgrounds. And of course, taking all the COVID-19 precautions, mandatory face coverings, hand washing. Everyone will be issued the hand sanitizer. Also, social distancing. Traditionally, individuals get 20 square feet. With COVID-19, we expand that to 60 square feet. So where we might be able to put a lot of special needs folks in one shelter, it's best to spread out, do that social distancing, so 2 locations there. Then also at the DeLand High School, that will be our general population shelter. So if you just need a place to go, you don't have a pet, DeLand High School will be the way to go. All of those shelters were open 8 a.m. Please don't get there any earlier. The staff will be there. We have moved a lot of supplies and equipment today to be ready to open the doors right at 8 o'clock. And we do have a number of hours before that inclement weather will be upon us toward midday. So that's important to remember. And also what to bring to a shelter. When you get that 60 square feet at a general population center, what you bring is what you're going to have. So think about a sort of an aluminum lawn chair like you take to the beach that can fold out, a good book to read. These shelters can be somewhat noisy. A good book, again, maybe even some earbuds with some music to listen to. So something to keep yourself occupied. You want to have something to eat before you go to that shelter in the morning. Don't get to the shelter hungry. Food will be provided at all the shelters as always, but again, it's good to bring snacks and a little extra food for yourself as well. And of course, if you go to volusia.org/emergency, there's a great deal of information that you can pull up about what to bring you with the shelter. Of course, if you have COVID-19 or you're symptomatic, we would prefer you not come to a public shelter and seek isolation in a different location. With that, bridges, our bridges do shut down at 39-mile-an-hour sustained winds. We've been on conference calls with the Sheriff's Office, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Port Orange, to make sure that everyone is in sync with those closures. And then we have to coordinate with DOT after the storm to make sure that those bridges are safe to use, and we have that coordinated as well. So again, the storm is coming up the coast, only 10 miles offshore at this point. Category 1 conditions along the coast, and minimal storm surge, 2 to 4 inches of rain. But again, the worst conditions will be 11 p.m., give or take an hour, Sunday night, and then through the night, hopefully clearing by 7 o'clock Monday morning. And again, everybody should be hunkered down, safely have their home and all their things put together. Certainly early afternoon tomorrow as we get those onset of tropical storm force winds. You know, you don't want to wait till the last minute to put up your shutters if you do have them. Be careful. We've already had a couple people fall off a roof today. So just be cognizant of your own safety and get those things done. If you've got some more work to do, finish it up tonight or first thing in the morning before we get the onset of, again, of those tropical storm force winds. So with that, let me introduce Mr. Ray Manchester, Director of Beach Services.
Good afternoon, Ray Manchester, Beach Services Director. Today, about 2 o'clock, we suspended beach driving on the beach. We closed those eastbound gates, and that allows our staff and the coastal staff time to get out there and secure those assets that Mr. Recktenwald was talking about, those toll booths, the garbage cans, our lifeguard towers, signs, barricades, and everything that can and will either blow away or float away. So we're currently working on that, and we anticipate we're not going to have any driving tomorrow, obviously, when the surf picks up and everything. We're flying a red flag as we speak. We've had several rescues today. We anticipate continuing to fly the red flag. We will not fly a red flag unless it's a hard closure. So we do expect people to be at the beach, but it won't be open to driving. If people are coming to the beach, we ask them to swim in front of a lifeguard tower, obviously, but I am going to highly discourage people from getting in the water. If you do, maybe stay about knee-deep water. It's going to be pretty rough out there, and there's going to be all kinds of rip currents. We will have lifeguard staff out there tomorrow, but not in the numbers that you would normally expect at this time of year. We will have our full-time staff out there, obviously, with the trucks and everything, and they will be patrolling and doing what they can to keep an eye on everything as much as possible. If and when we do get to the beach opening part, I'd like everybody to know that in order to reopen the beach, a lot of things have to happen. We're obviously in turtle season, and this kind of event's kind of early, so we have, I think, about 700 plus turtle nests on the beach. If they are impacted by the tide, those will have to come, turtle staff will have to come out and find those again and remark them and make sure they're okay. So beach will not be open to vehicles before that happens. Also, we have approximately 1,500 of the conservation poles out there. Those designate the conservation area where vehicles can't go. If any of those get washed out or washed away, we have to replace those. We can't let vehicles on the beach until that happens. And last but not least, those toll booths that we talked about, those have to come back out also. And it's not so much to collect the toll for the vehicles, but there's another HCP mandate that when a person enters the beach in a vehicle, that driver is handed some environmental literature, so that's a requirement. So we ask the public to have patience with us because there's a lot of moving parts that have to occur to reopen the beach. The surf being what it is, we're actually hoping for a little bit of high surf because, as you know, we've had some soft sand and some traffic lane issues lately, so we're hoping that we get just enough surf to clean up the beach a little bit, so when we do finally reopen, it'll be that nice hard-packed sand that we're all used to, and makes driving conditions a lot easier for everybody. That's it for me. If anybody has any questions, or Kevin, back to you.
We have a couple of questions here from Spectrum News 13 directed to Jim.
Thank you. Mr. Judge, the governor mentioned earlier that Volusia County is one of 9 counties to have gotten PPE for shelters should they need to be open. Can you talk a little bit about what Volusia got from that?
Absolutely. We've put together quite a bit of PPE for the shelters. Of course, you know, this is just one storm. We've got months of hurricane season left. So we do have enough PPE put together for not only this storm, but possibly other storms coming our way. So we've got hand sanitizer. We literally got 5-gallon buckets full. And with the help of corrections inmates, we were able to put those into small bottles that can be handed out to each individual that comes into the shelter. We have the masks. We have the hand sanitizer, the cleaning stations, washing stations, and all the disinfectants necessary to be able to keep these shelters clean and disinfected. And then also in the shelter, having a designated safety officer to also monitor the social distancing, make sure that everyone is, you know, following proper hygiene, and just reminding everybody to wash their hands. We've got a lot of signage that we put together that we'll be placing around the restrooms and around the building, just to remind everyone to take those necessary precautions.
Do you anticipate possibly reaching capacity at any of these shelters?
That's a good question. We just really, don't know. We've been trying to track what's happening in South Florida and how many folks are coming to the shelters, and it has been minimal, which I think is a good thing. But with the phone calls we've been getting from a lot of our special needs clients who have concerns with oxygen regulating equipment, we wanted to just, be cautious and have 2 special needs shelters open. They're enough to accommodate about 224 individuals. Again, generator powered. Health department provides the medical oversight. And so those individuals that need assistance with activities of daily living, they have those oxygen concentrators. They can safely shelter, plugging those in. But again, there's nothing like staying at home. We anything can happen. A branch can come down and take out the power, but hopefully this won't be a big problem for the electrical grid or for Duke or FP&L. And I understand they're already staged over at the Speedway. Both Florida Power and Light and Duke Energy have been in touch with me almost daily as we monitor the conditions together. Of course, they've both done quite a bit of upgrades to the grid, and they're good partners. And so they're staged here in the area with resources. So should we lose power in areas, they're ready to go to work.
I was actually going to ask, do you have any idea how many trucks are staged at the Speedway or will be staged?
I don't have that information. They usually bring in quite a few, and they not only help the north end of Brevard, Flagler, and also inland to Lake. It's just a great facility to stage. The Speedway is such a wonderful partner. So we usually get quite a few trucks, but I don't have an account yet of how many or what we can expect through the day tomorrow. Thank you. I'm sorry?
Just one question. You had mentioned earlier about people who are COVID-19 positive and that you would prefer that they not go to the shelters. Do you, for people who are COVID-19 positive who need somewhere to go, is there...
Hotels are available on the west side. There are several hotels that will take those individuals in. If they make contact with a hotel, let them know that they are COVID positive. They literally can walk in, pick up a key, handle any billing or charging information, and literally go in and pick up the key and go to their room.
Okay, so that would be the counsel for people who are COVID-19 positive.
Yes, that would be, not symptomatic. They just are tested positive. They need to leave the home that they're in and shelter somewhere safe or isolate somewhere safe. Recommendation would be a hotel room on the west side of town.
Okay, and just because I don't know this, and I'd always be looking for a deal myself. Is the county picking up the tab for those hotel rooms, or do they have to pick it up themselves?
They have to pick it up themselves, but the state has come out with a state federal declaration that will allow for 75% reimbursement for mass care and for sheltering. So we're looking at that right now. We're also reaching out to hotels. We have a couple out in DeBerry, one in DeLand, and so we'll make that information available should it be needed. Thank you. You bet.
Do you know how many people per shelter are going to be allowed this year versus the normal?
I'm sorry, how many?
Do you know how many people are going to be allowed in each shelter, versus what the normal amount it would be?
Well, with a normal sheltering would be 20 square feet for individual. So we're going with 60 square feet. So, if we had a large storm, Cat 2, 3 coming in, storm surge and all the worst case situations, we would probably have to use all 32 schools if we had a large evacuation, barrier island, mobile homes, RV parks, you name it. We would need all 32 of those schools plus the fairgrounds. We also have Daytona State College that stepped up as well, and they have facilities that we could use if necessary. So a lot of resources out there that we could draw upon. Worst case scenario, we do have them in queue if needed.
Thank you, Jim. I'd like to thank all our speakers. Individuals with questions are encouraged to call the Citizens Information Center. That number is 866-345-0345. The Citizens Information Center will be open today through 6 p.m., then again tomorrow, Sunday, and then also Monday throughout the day to answer any questions during the storm. Again, that number is 866-345-0345. Another good resource for storm information is available at volusia.org/Isaias, and that is ISAIAS. With that, we'll close this evening's conference. Take care, stay safe, and help your neighbors.